This is your Weather Xtreme video for Friday, July the 4th. Happy Independence Day. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. There's a look at our sky cam this morning, and we have some cirrus clouds that are making for some nice sunrises. There's the sky cam at Fayette, and some nice pinkish color in the sky at Trussville. The synoptic weather pattern is dominated by high pressure over the Great Lakes, generally over Lake Michigan. That, along with Hurricane Arthur that has made landfall last night around midnight on the Outer Banks, producing wind gusts to 101 miles an hour with a sustained wind of 77. And that will be exiting off the mid-Atlantic coast and into the North Atlantic. The upper air pattern, we've seen this trough that was going to be helping to steer Arthur out along the southeast coast of the U.S. and then out into the Atlantic. And that pattern allowing us to have a little bit of troughiness over the eastern half of the country. There's a look at the temperatures this morning, and the thing that's really important is to see that the dew points are way down, much lower than we typically see for this time of year. And as a result of that lowered humidity and drier air that we have in place, the temperatures will be cooler, and we'll see very little precipitation in the next 5 days, maybe returning a chance of showers Tuesday, Wednesday time frame or so. Storm Prediction Center outlooking a slight risk for storms in the extreme north central United States, northeast North Dakota, and parts of northwestern Minnesota, and it stays in that area of the country for day 2. There is a look at the satellite presentation of Arthur. Arthur, a nice-looking storm. Because Arthur has been moving along very close to the coastline, Arthur has been, of course, bringing some, advecting in some drier air from off the continent, and so that has helped to keep Arthur from intensifying more, but it was a Category 2. And I think that's the first Category 2 to make landfall in the U.S. since 2008. There's a look at the radar presentation from Norfolk as we see the Arthur beginning to move off into the North Atlantic, and there's the Hurricane Center's official track. All right, let's take a look at modeling for the next 5 to 7 days, and there's the upper air pattern with the trough moving Arthur gently off into the North Atlantic, and we see the sprawling high-pressure system centered over generally Chicago. That high moves eastward, keeping us in a northerly flow and keeping us in some drier and cooler air, and we stay that way even into Sunday, although we're beginning to see the return of some moisture to the southeast of us. I think that will allow for showers to return along the sea breeze front along the Gulf Coast, especially into Monday. The GFS is hinting at some little disturbance off the southeast coast once again. Not sure that's going to amount to much. By the time we get out to Monday, that is being moved off, and we see that the overall pattern stays fairly steady with a bit of troughiness over the eastern half of the country and the ridging over the western half of the country. And the result is that while we do see a little bit of a front coming down, we can look at the precipitable water values, and you see that we stay dry. This is out through the 7th. So that would be Monday, and so we stay dry, and I think we'll probably stay dry into Tuesday as well. That troughiness over the eastern half of the country gets a little bit stronger on Tuesday, which brings a front down into at least approaching the Ohio River Valley by the time we get out to Tuesday. Wednesday, the trough continues to amplify a little bit, and that should bring a front down a little closer to us, but probably not quite into the area before it will stall out on Thursday, and that just puts a frontal zone just to our north and will help to once again bring showers back up as moisture increases a little bit. Not much change to the pattern on Friday the 11th, as we see the ridge building a little bit stronger, especially over the central part of the country. So we're not seeing much in the way of change, but temperatures just climbing up into the lower 90s, so back to what we typically see for the middle of July. Looking out into voodoo country, and the GFS has been dancing back and forth around some of the high, and we've seen some pretty large highs, and then they've been gone. Looks like the overall pattern of a ridging over the eastern slopes of the Rockies and the central U.S. is still there, but you can see that it also keeps a bit of a trough around the eastern coast of the U.S. Around the 14th, and when we get out to the 20th, It's still got that idea of the ridge over the eastern slopes of the Rockies and the tropics over the eastern half of the country. Well, that'll do it for the Weather Xtreme video. Expect to have the next one posted first thing on Saturday morning. In the meantime, stay tuned to the blog for weather notes on what's happening in central Alabama. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Have a great 4th of July and Godspeed.